Dan here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another made-for-TV movie review. Previously on the channel, I have reviewed such films as Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, You Little Raisin-Headed Bastards, You. And just the other day on the channel, I had a Top 3 Thursday video dealing with stalkers. And I did have a scene from the film in my thumbnail. Now, I just want to clarify something. There is a scene when Ronald pops out of the wall, and I'll get there plot-wise if you if you haven't seen this movie. First of all, you haven't lived yet. But yes, right after that, after he kidnaps a character named Babs, who is the object of his obsession, one of the other daughters sees a peephole and sees the light coming out of it, and that is this scene here. What a scene. So he's saying, "You're my queen." He actually didn't say that to this character, this daughter. He said that to one of the other characters, the character of Babs, before he basically kidnapped her and stashed her in the basement of the next house. But we'll get there in a moment. Yes, 1974's Bad Ronald. Boy, this movie, you know, just like Duel and Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, it just left such an impression on me. Gargoyles, you know, there were some made-for-TV movies back then that scared you and scarred you. With this one, there were 3 or 4 key moments that I just have been living in my head rent-free ever since. But I hadn't seen it in decades, so it was really fun to go back and rewatch. Great cast, Scott Jacoby as Ronald. You have Kim Hunter playing his mother, his overprotective mother. And the family that moves in is played, we have Pippa Scott as Mrs. Wood, Dabney Coleman as Mr. Wood. You have John Fielder, who goes all the way back to 12 Angry Men, playing Mr. Roscoe. I think he's the realtor, yeah. And then you have some veteran actors such as John Larch as Sergeant Lynch. So the girls are played by, you have Cindy Fisher playing Babs. She's the youngest, okay? And then real-life sisters, Cindy and Lisa Eilbacher, play her sisters. Eventually, they will start teasing Babs because Babs feels that there's something not right in this house, and that's a big part of the plot. But both of those actresses have appeared in just dozens and dozens of movies and shows. Lisa Eilbacher played Charles Bronson's daughter in 10 to Midnight. And then you have Ted Eccles playing a boyfriend of one of the older sisters. Just a great cast all around. And this is directed by Buzz Kulik, who had dozens upon dozens of TV credits, directing 1 episode of Rawhide, many episodes of Have Gun Will Travel, Patrick, if you're listening. Several made-for-TV movies, miniseries, an Around the World in 80 Days miniseries, a George Washington miniseries, and he made some theatrical films as well. These directors back then, you know, like John Llewellyn Moxley, John Newland, they were so good, the directors that were working in the TV back then. So yeah, this movie is 71 minutes long, and it just goes, but there's a few scenes that just, like I said, have been in my head for years. Anyway, Ronald plays sort of a loner, an isolated kid who's very close to his single mother, who actually has some serious medical problems on the horizon, and she's kind of not really sharing that fully with her son about the severity of that. You know, there's a scene in the beginning where they have a birthday party, a celebration, just the two of them, and it's a little bit sad, and she gives him a toolbox. That's the kind of presents, but that's what he wants. That's the kind of presents he wants, because he's very handy. So then he decides to put on his best flannel shirt. He's wearing like 2 or 3 layers in the summer, and he goes over to see a local girl that he likes. They're having a little bit of a pool party, and a lot of people kind of make fun of him, and he finally gets the hint that he's not welcomed. It's very awkward. And as he's walking home, I believe it's the younger sister of the girl that he has the crush on, starts to tease him, and he picks her up and throws her down and kills her. And it's a very jarring scene. I mean, he really grabs a hold of her. And I mean, when she hits something, I won't tell you how she dies, but it's pretty jarring. I mean, it kind of shook me up a little bit as a kid watching it. So he goes home, he panics. Mom decides that she's just going to hide him. So there's a downstairs bathroom, and what they do is he goes in, he works all night, he remodels it, he creates a fake wall with a little tiny trap door, and he's just going to hide in there and eventually escape or something like that. Well, the police do an investigation. They also, I think they kind of set it up so there's a letter upstairs or something which indicates that he's run off, and the police just assume that that's what happened. And then lo and behold, a new family moves in, And the brother of the murdered girl starts dating one of the older girls, and there's a really good scene at the dinner table where he's like, I never thought I'd be in this house again. And, you know, Dabney Coleman says, why not? And he goes, oh, because Ronald murdered my sister, and like mom drops her fork. It's very awkward. So anyway, he's in there. You know, he did bring some food in with him, but there's a limited amount. And, you know, he creates these peepholes, which he covers up most of the time until he eventually forgets to, which is why you had light streaming out of one of them. So he starts to watch the family, and he becomes obsessed with the youngest daughter, Babs. He's already been painting these pictures about this fantasy land, and then he starts to paint himself as the king and Babs as the queen. There's a nosy neighbor, who likes to come and like poke her head in the windows and look around, even when mom was still alive, by the way. She's always snooping around. And just something about the way she looks through the windows, the expression on her face just cracks me up. Anyway, there's an incident involving her eventually and Ronald. There's a few times where he does sort of venture out a little bit. You know, the family's like, hey, how come I made 6 hard-boiled eggs and now there's 3 left? Because, you know, his food isn't lasting that long, and he gets like dirtier and filthier. And eventually the parents go away on a little trip and leave the girls by themselves with the boyfriend. And that's when he decides to come out and make his appearance known. And he kidnaps somebody. He has a confrontation with the boyfriend. And eventually the rest of the family, sort of the older sisters, have a confrontation with him. And that all starts to unwind a lot quicker than I thought. But then again, this is a 71-minute film. And it just goes along. And it's just really well paced, really well shot. Some of the shots in this are very clever. There's a scene where he's poking around in the refrigerator, and then when he shuts the refrigerator, there's somebody in the window. That one scene with the peephole and the light shining through. Some really just great shots. Boy, if you haven't seen this, you got to check it out. It's a wild one. Some of the stuff that they came up with in the 70s. I mean, he is a creepy, voyeuristic, delusional character. And lots of good acting in this. Very solid all around. If you've seen it, you probably remember that you've seen it for sure. Now, with this Warner Archives collection, the picture quality wasn't great. I really didn't mind that much. It kind of reminds me of back when I used to watch these films on TV. Boy, I wish the sound was a little better, though. Some of the sound just seems to get swallowed up. So that certainly could have been better. But all in all, just a great film. I had a blast rewatching this. I can't believe I got this months ago. I can't believe I haven't watched it until just the other day. But have you seen Bad Ronald? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What are some of your other favorite made-for-TV movies? And I'll talk to you next time. Later. But if you have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I can't. Just... If you have...